image over, if you just keep watching this and keep watching it, you get to a point where it streams right to your subconscious mind. Because your subconscious mind is your universal mind. And when that happens, this thing you're living in that you call your body, the vibratory rate of it changes, so your action changes, and what you attract into your life changes. See, your body's energy. Mind is movement. Mind is not a thing. We talk about mind movies. Well, what is mind? Most people don't know. Mind is a movement. Well, when you put a movie into that movement, it has to move into form. It's an absolute law. And the only way you can stop it is to throw the movie away. It's like planting a seed in the earth. If I plant a carrot seed and I keep the earth fertile and, fertilized, and that carrot's going to grow. It's going to grow just as sure as it gets dark. Well, when you keep streaming this movie into your mind, you keep this physical instrument you're living in a vibration that's in harmony with the movie. And when that happens, you start to attract everything in the universe that's required for the manifestation of that movie.
Yep.
That's the emotional mind. So when you say, is it important to get emotionally involved? Yeah. See, most people aren't emotionally involved in their own story. They're emotionally involved in somebody else's. Yeah. I always say the average individual is an extra in their own movie. They'll make you the movie. You'll think, God, that guy must be brilliant making this.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you credit. You're pretty brilliant to make it, but I don't think you're any more brilliant than me or the person on the camera or anybody else that happens to be watching this. We're all the same. It's that you've started to use what you've got, and you did use it to build this, and then, of course, you're using it to improve upon this. So you keep improving the image or the vision.
Yes.
And as long as you stay emotionally involved with it, it's going to keep getting better. And it gets better. I benefit from it. Who the listener, the viewer gets better. And through repetition, their whole life is going to change. I believe you've discovered something here. I don't think anybody invents anything. I think we just merely discover it because nothing's created or destroyed. I think you've discovered something here that'll change a person's life just like that. And even although they may not understand what's happening, it still happens.
That's the funny bit. There's no way in the world I could have articulated it as eloquently as you did just then several years ago. But that what you just described exactly matched what happened to me, even though I didn't know it and understand it at the time. I had the dream board. I thought, this isn't working for me and I'm not emotionally engaged in this static picture. So I thought, how can I make it dynamic and how can I really get emotion involved into it? And I was just surfing around YouTube one day and I saw a couple of movies that I thought were really inspiring, and I thought, maybe if I could make a movie about what I wanted my life to look like. And I watched that every day. And it had my favorite music track over the top of it. It had images that I chose and they were flying at me. It had my affirmations and the things that I desired all coming at me in this movie. I thought maybe that would work. And so I set about this at the time. 3 years ago, technology is not what it is today. It was quite a tedious and difficult task technologically to make a movie from somebody who had never made a movie before. But I went ahead and made this movie, and I watched it every morning and every night for 3 months. Well, for a lot longer than 3 months. But I started to notice an incredible change within 3 months. When I made the movie, I had tried a number of businesses that were unsuccessful, and it left me in a fair amount of debt. I was in $70,000 worth of personal debt and credit cards in a job that I really hated, and getting up at 5 a.m. every morning to get to it. And within a matter of 3 months, I had turned it around, and the primary goal in my movie was complete financial freedom, to where I didn't need the job and I was completely okay. 3 months later, I had achieved that, and it went by so fast I didn't even know what happened to me. But it all happened, and I attribute it to my movies. And
see, what you did, there's an element there that defies logic. First of all, I think we have to understand that we're programmed. We've got paradigms. Paradigms nothing but programming. We're programmed genetically. That's why you look, like your relatives. Then we're programmed environmentally. Well, we're programmed in such a way that if you watch the movie once, why would you want to watch it again? Or if you read the book once, why would you want to read it again? Or if you listen to the CD once, why would you want to listen to it again? But it was the repetition that altered your program.
Yeah.
And you see, I did this 50 years ago, and I didn't understand what I was doing. It took me 9 years to figure it out. I was driving around with a battery-operated record player. And I was listening to Earl Nightingale's Strangest Secret. And I kept listening, and I drove around, and I listened and listened and listened, and I kept reading Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. I'm still reading it 50 years later, same book. Yeah. But and people say, well, why do you keep listening to that? Or why do you keep reading the same book? I didn't know why, but I kept doing it. And you see, it was the repetition of it. We've got to go back to when we were kids and say, what was our environment like when we were kids? How did the people around us talk about money? Well, they probably talked about lack of, geez, there's never enough money. It doesn't matter how hard we work, we get the debt card up and there's another debt. Well, as babies, that's going right into our subconscious mind, and we grow up and we relive that. That was the movie that was planted in our mind. Well, through the repetition of the mind movie, but I create the movie. Yeah. You create your movie. And that's the way it should be. We were given this ability. We're not exercising it. So I think the genius in what you're doing is you've created something. You've got a library of material where you can just click, 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 with the mouse. And damn, in minutes, you've got yourself the movie of your life, of how you want to live. And if you keep watching it and stay emotionally involved, that must turn into results as sure as it gets dark at night. I keep using that phrase because that's one of the laws. The law of rhythm brings the night following the day. Well, the image that we build, the movie that we build, and we get emotionally involved, must move into form. That is an absolute law. And it can never change. It's a certain thing.
Well, that's, again, certainly matches the feedback that we've heard about, because I created Mind Movies 3 years ago now, and since that time I was helping people make a mind movie the same way that I made it. And it was a technical challenge, but we came up with some really good tutorials, and people, many people, thousands of people actually, managed to make their mind movies. And we got some incredible feedback that their life changed very, very quickly after doing it.
Well, I started to listen to this. I went from 4,000 to 175,000, and then I went over 1 million, just like that. It happened so fast, I was in a state of shock. I wasn't satisfied with the fact that it happened. I had to know why it happened. Right. And that's what put me into studying. That's what got me into teaching this. You've got something that's absolutely brilliant here, and it'll work for anyone that'll use it.
Now, because I'm so passionate about mind movies and getting it in the hands of literally every single person, what I've done is I've gone ahead and made 6 pre-made mind movies. Now, these are mind movies specifically focused on 6 different areas of your life. For example, there's health, there's wealth, there's relationships, and I'm going to give them to you right now, absolutely free. And I'm also got something very exciting for you in the coming weeks. I've been traveling a lot in the last couple of weeks, and I've caught up with Joe Vitale, John Assaraf, and we're going to be touching base with Bob again, and we've got this video series laid out for you over the next couple of days. So if you go ahead and just tell me where to send those pre-made mind movies right now by entering your details in the box to the right of the screen, we'll go ahead and send you the 6 pre-mades right now, and we'll keep you up to date as we release the rest of the video series. So guys, take care. Bob, thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure. Enjoyed it.
See you soon.